The year was 2247. Humans had joined the Galactic Council 23 years ago. They were still new, still learning. The other alien races looked at them like children. 47 different species sat on the council. Humans were number 47, the last ones in. The council had rules. Many rules. The most important rule was simple. No violence between species. If you broke this rule, your whole planet could be punished. Trade could stop. Technology could be taken away. Some species had been kicked out forever. Sarah Chen was 16 years old. She had bright eyes and asked too many questions. Her father was David Chen, Earth's main ambassador to the Council. He was proud of his daughter. Sarah loved learning about aliens. She wanted to study them when she grew up. She wanted to be a xenobiologist. Sarah was part of a special program. Young humans traveled to Zenith Prime, the big council station in space. They learned about other cultures. They made friends with alien children. Sarah was excited. She had 13 other human students with her. The council station was huge. It floated in space like a small moon. Inside were schools, offices, homes. Different species lived and worked together. Most of the time, everything was peaceful. One day, Sarah went to a symposium. This was a big meeting where important aliens talked about history. A Vexorian was speaking. The Vexorians looked like giant insects. They had hard shells and many legs. They cared a lot about honor and rank. The speaker was Hive Prince Zekthar. He was very important in Vexorian society. He wore special markings that showed his high rank. He talked about the great things the council had done in history. He made everything sound wonderful. Sarah raised her hand. She asked a question. She had read about some bad things the council did long ago. Whole planets had been invaded. Small species had been forced to join. Some had been hurt badly. Why did the prince not talk about these things? The room went quiet. Other aliens looked shocked. No one questioned a hive prince like this, especially not a young human. Zekthar's shell turned a dark color. This meant he was angry. Very angry. The prince tried to answer. He said those events were complicated. Different times, different rules. But Sarah kept asking. She was polite but firm. She wanted real answers. The prince's voice got louder. He said humans did not understand council ways. They were too new, too young to question their elders. The meeting ended badly. Zekthar left quickly. Other Vexorians followed him. They clicked their mandibles in anger. For Vexorians, public embarrassment was the worst thing possible. It hurt their honor. It hurt their family's honor. 2 days later, something terrible happened. Sarah was in the human quarters with the other students. They were studying together, laughing, talking about their day. The station felt safe. It had always been safe. Then alarms started. Red lights flashed. The students looked at each other confused. Before anyone could move, the wall exploded outward. Not from an attack. From decompression, the air rushed out into space. The cold of the void swept in. Sarah tried to reach the emergency panel. She was so close. Her fingers stretched out, but the air was gone. The cold took her. 13 other young humans died with her. Their bodies were found floating in space hours later. The council acted fast. They sealed the section. They started an investigation. The official report came out in 48 hours. System malfunction, they said. Old maintenance errors. Nobody's fault. Just an accident. These things happen on old stations. David Chen got the news while he was in a council meeting. His daughter was dead. His little girl who asked too many questions. His Sarah who wanted to understand the universe. He did not cry in front of the aliens. He just stood up and walked out. He read the report. 48 hours. They investigated for only 48 hours. His daughter's death got 2 days of attention. Something felt wrong. Very wrong. Ambassador Chen was not just a diplomat. Before he came to the council, he had been in Earth's military. He knew how to find the truth. He made quiet calls. He asked human investigators to look deeper. Look at everything. What they found made his blood run cold. The maintenance logs had been changed. Someone had edited them after the accident. Security cameras had missing footage. Exactly during the time when someone could have sabotaged the section. And Vexorian workers had been seen in that area. Workers who had no reason to be there. 3 days after Sarah's death, Ambassador Chen requested a formal meeting. He wanted the council to review the investigation. He brought the evidence his people had found. the changed maintenance logs, the missing camera footage, the Vexorian workers in the wrong place. The council listened. Some members looked uncomfortable. Others looked angry that Chen was questioning them. The Vexorian representative stood up. He said Chen was insulting them. He said humans were paranoid. They saw conspiracies where there were none. Ambassador Chen stayed calm. He showed each piece of evidence. He spoke clearly. He asked for one thing: a real investigation. A proper one. Not 48 hours, real time. Real answers. The council voted. 47 species in total. 9 voted to reopen the investigation. 38 voted no. The Vexorian Empire was powerful. They controlled important trade routes. Many species depended on them. Nobody wanted to make them angry. The vote was final. The original ruling would stand. System malfunction, accident, no one to blame. The council speaker said these were the rules. Chen had to accept them. Then the Vexorian representative spoke again. He looked directly at Chen. He said Earth should remember its place. New species should be grateful for council membership. They should not cause trouble. The council could always reconsider Earth's membership status. It was a threat. Everyone in the room knew it. The Vexorians were saying, "Be quiet or lose everything." Ambassador Chen stood. His face showed no emotion. His voice was steady. He said Earth was withdrawing all diplomatic personnel from council space. Effective immediately, all humans would leave. All trade negotiations would stop. All cooperation would end. The council members looked confused. Where were the demands? Where were the threats? Where was the anger? Chen was not asking for anything. He was just leaving. Then Chen said something strange. He said he wanted to give the council some advice. Not a threat, not a demand, just advice. He recommended they pray. Pray to whatever gods they believed in. Pray hard. The council speaker asked what he meant. Chen looked at each council member. He said humans were not threatening anyone. They were simply offering guidance. The council had shown them how the galaxy worked. Now Earth understood. Might makes right. Politics over justice. Power over truth. Chen walked toward the exit. At the door he turned back. He said one more thing. 30 days. He told them to use those 30 days to pray. Then he left. Within 6 hours, every human ship began evacuating council space. Diplomats packed their belongings. Trade ships canceled their routes. Human research stations powered down. They left everything behind that could not fit on the ships. The council watched this happen. They expected negotiations. They expected humans to come back with demands. Give us this. Punish them. Pay us money. That was how things worked in the galaxy. You make demands. You compromise. You move forward, but humans did not demand anything. They just left, quietly, efficiently, like they had planned this. Some council members felt relieved. Let the humans go. They were trouble anyway, always questioning things, always pushing boundaries. The galaxy was better without them. Others felt uneasy, something about Chen's calm voice, something about that warning to pray. It did not feel like human emotion. It felt like something else. Something cold. The last human ship prepared to leave Zenith Prime. Before it jumped to faster-than-light speed, it sent one final broadcast. Every council channel received it. Every species heard it. The message was simple. Just 3 words and a number. 30 days, pray then silence. All human communications stopped. Earth went dark. No messages in. No messages out. The human embassy on Zenith Prime sat empty. The lights were off. The doors were sealed. Most council members dismissed it. Humans were being dramatic. They were emotional creatures. They would calm down. In a few months, they would come back. They would apologize. Everything would return to normal. The Vexorian representative laughed. He said humans were cowards. They ran away instead of fighting. They made empty threats instead of taking action. This proved they were weak. Too weak for the council, but a few council members were not so sure. The Tethians were an old species. They had been on the council for thousands of years. They were aquatic beings, peaceful by nature. They had voted to reopen the investigation into Sarah's death. The Tethian ambassador went to her office. She pulled up every file about humans. She read everything. Their history, their wars, their technology, their psychology, What she found made her scared. Truly scared. She called an emergency meeting with the council speaker. She said they needed to take the human warning seriously. Very seriously, the council speaker asked why. The Tethian ambassador showed him the files. Human history was full of blood. They fought wars that lasted generations. They created weapons that could destroy their own planet. They nearly killed themselves several times, but that was not the scary part. The scary part was this: humans always came back stronger. Every time they were knocked down, they stood up angrier. They learned from their enemies. They adapted. They improved. They never forgot. And they never forgave. The council speaker said this was just history. Old stories. Humans had been peaceful in council space. They followed the rules. The Tethian ambassador shook her head slowly. She said maybe humans followed the rules because they chose to, not because they had to, and now they had chosen to stop. Day 3 after the humans left, Council intelligence agencies started digging. They wanted to know what Earth was really capable of. If humans were planning something, the Council needed to know what. The intelligence teams went through every record, every interaction with humans, every technology exchange, every treaty, every conversation. They built a complete picture. What they discovered changed everything. First discovery. The human ships in Council space were not military vessels. They were civilian ships, diplomatic transports, research vessels, trading ships. Earth had never brought their real military to Council space. Never. The Council had thought this was because humans had a small military. Weak defenses. New to space travel. They were wrong. Second discovery. Long-range sensors picked up something strange. Far beyond Council space, in the dark areas between stars, there were structures. Huge structures, ships, stations, military installations. All human, all hidden. Humans had been building a fleet in secret. Not a small fleet, a massive one. While they smiled and talked peace in council chambers, they were preparing for war in the darkness. Just in case. Third discovery. Human technology was much more advanced than they had shown. They had been taking council technology and improving it, making it better, faster, stronger, more deadly. The council had shared their science freely. They thought they were helping primitive humans learn. Humans were learning, yes, but they were also adapting everything into weapons. A special report came to the council speaker. It was from the xenoanthropology department, scientists who studied different species and how they think. They had been researching humans for years. The report explained what made humans different. Humans evolved as persistence hunters. They chased their prey until the prey collapsed from exhaustion. They never gave up, never stopped. They could run for days. Humans were also pack hunters. They worked together. Coordinated attacks, planned strategies. No other species in the galaxy combined both traits. Most predators hunted alone. Most pack animals were prey, not predators. But the most disturbing finding was this. Humans weaponized everything, every discovery, every invention, every piece of knowledge. They turned it into a tool for war. They split the atom. First thought, make a bomb. They reach space. First thought, put weapons there. They made thinking machines. First thought, teach them to kill. This was not evil. This was just how human minds worked. Everything was a potential weapon. The report also noted something strange about human language. They had more words for revenge than most species had for peace. Vengeance, retribution, payback, retaliation, justice. Each word meant something slightly different. Humans had spent thousands of years thinking about revenge in very specific ways. The Tethian ambassador read all of this. She called another emergency meeting. She brought the reports. She begged the council to listen. She said they needed to contact Earth, apologize, make things right. Before it was too late, the council speaker looked at the reports. He seemed worried now, but other council members were not convinced. The Vexorian representative stood up. He said this was fear-mongering. Humans were one species, one planet. The council had 47 species, thousands of planets, millions of ships. Even if humans had hidden military ships, so what? Numbers mattered. The council had the numbers. Humans were outnumbered 1,000 to 1. They could not possibly win a fight. The Tethian ambassador tried one more time. She said the council did not understand. War was not about numbers for humans. It was personal. It was emotional. When humans fought, they did not fight to win territory. They fought to erase their enemies completely. She pulled up historical examples. Human wars where millions died, where entire cities were destroyed, where winners burned everything the losers had built. Humans did not just defeat enemies. They made sure those enemies could never threaten them again. The council dismissed her warnings. They said she was being paranoid. Humans had been peaceful for 23 years. This was just a tantrum, an emotional outburst. It would pass. Day 15, halfway through the 30 days. Nothing happened. Earth was still silent. No communications. No ships, no movement. Some council members started to relax. See, nothing to worry about. Day 20. Long-range sensors detected something at the edge of Vexorian space. Multiple contacts. Moving fast. Before the Vexorians could send ships to investigate, the contacts disappeared. Gone. Like ghosts. The Vexorian military went on high alert. They sent out patrol ships. They found nothing. But communication with some outer colonies became difficult. Delays, static. Then the communication improved again. Must have been solar interference. They relaxed. Day 25. The Vexorian Empire stopped responding to council messages. Not just delays now. Complete silence. The council tried every communication channel. Nothing worked. Something was wrong. The council sent a ship to check. A fast scout. It would take 3 days to reach Vexorian space. 3 days to find out what was happening. Day 28. The scout ship reached Vexorian space. The pilot sent back frantic reports. Then his transmission cut off. The ship never returned. Day 29. The council was panicking now. They sent emergency messages to Earth, no response. They tried to contact human colonies. Silent. They searched for any human ship in the galaxy. Found none. Day 30. The council chambers filled early. Every member came. Every species was represented. They waited. They watched the sensors. They prayed, though most of them did not believe in prayer. And then, exactly on day 30, the human fleet arrived at Zenith Prime. They came out of faster-than-light travel like a wall of metal and fire. Hundreds of ships. No, thousands. Ship designs the council had never seen. Massive siege vessels that made council dreadnoughts look like toys. And at the front of the fleet, one ship transmitted a message. Ambassador David Chen wanted to speak to the council. Not as an ambassador anymore. He had a new title now. Executor of Retribution. The human fleet surrounded Zenith Prime. Not in an attack formation. In a display formation. They wanted the council to see. To understand. To know exactly what they were facing. David Chen's face appeared on every screen in the council chambers. His eyes were cold. Empty. This was not the same man who had left 30 days ago. That man had been a diplomat. This man was something else. He began to speak. His voice was calm, too calm. He said they told the council to pray. He asked if they prayed. He hoped they did. Because prayer was all they had now. Chen talked about his daughter, Sarah Chen, 16 years old. She wanted to be a xenobiologist. She loved learning about other species. She asked questions because she cared about truth. She died scared and alone in the cold of space. The council investigated for 48 hours. 2 days. Then they called it an accident. They said nobody was to blame. They said these things happen. Chen said humans investigated for 30 days. They found the truth. Hive Prince Zekthar ordered Sarah's death. He could not accept being questioned by a human child. His pride was worth more than her life. The Vexorian Empire carried out the murder. They made it look like an accident. 13. Council species voted to cover it up. They chose politics over justice. They chose convenience over truth. They chose the Vexorian Empire over one human girl. Chen said the council thought humans would threaten them. Thought humans would negotiate. Thought humans would make demands. The council did not understand humans at all. Then Chen showed them something. Video footage. Live feeds from the Vexorian home system. The council watched in horror. Every Vexorian military base was destroyed. Completely. Orbital stations were torn apart. Shipyards were scattered debris. Defense platforms were silent wreckage. The Vexorian military no longer existed. Their faster-than-light communication network was dismantled. Every relay, every hub, every connection. The Vexorian Empire could not coordinate between planets anymore. They were isolated, cut off from each other. The infrastructure that made them an empire was gone. Trade routes disrupted. Government centers in chaos. The Vexorian Empire had fallen in 30 days. Not conquered, dismantled. But the cities were intact. The civilian populations were safe. The video showed Vexorian families in their homes, children playing, people working. They were alive, unharmed. Chen explained this carefully. Humans did not commit genocide. They were not monsters. They did not kill innocent civilians. Every civilian had been evacuated from military areas before the attacks. Human ships had done the evacuations themselves. The Vexorian people were safe, but the Vexorian Empire was finished. It no longer existed as a political entity. The species would continue. The government would not. Humans would administer their worlds until the Vexorians learned the value of justice. The council chambers erupted. Some species were shouting, others were silent in shock. The Vexorian representative was screaming into his communicator. Nothing happened. His empire could not hear him. Chen continued speaking. He addressed the 13 species who voted to cover up Sarah's death. He gave them an ultimatum: submit to independent investigation, accept responsibility, make restitution. They had 1 week to decide. If they refused, they would face the same fate as the Vexorian Empire. Their military would be dismantled. Their government would be restructured. Humans would ensure justice was done. One council member found his voice, a representative from the Kaldesh Confederacy. He demanded to know what gave humans the right to do this. Who made them judges of the galaxy? Chen looked at him. His expression did not change. He said the council gave humans that right. When they told a father his daughter's murder was an acceptable accident. When they valued politics over justice. When they showed humans that in this galaxy, might makes right. Humans learned the lesson. They learned it well. They were simply better at it than the council imagined. The council created this situation. They taught humans how the galaxy worked. Now they were upset that humans understood. Another council member spoke. From the Hephaestian assembly, she said humans could not police the entire galaxy. They did not have the ships, the resources, the manpower. Chen smiled. It was not a happy smile. He said humans did not need to police the galaxy. They only needed to make an example. The Vexorian Empire was that example. Any species that chose injustice over truth would become the next example. Fear spread through the council chambers. These species had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. They had never been challenged like this, never been held accountable. They thought they were untouchable. Humans showed them they were wrong. Some species immediately pledged to cooperate. They would submit to investigation. They would accept responsibility. They would pay restitution. Fear motivated them. But motivation did not matter. Results mattered. Other species tried to organize resistance. 5 of the 13 who voted for the cover-up attempted to form a military alliance. They would fight back. Show humans they could not intimidate everyone. Chen showed them more video. Human ships were already at their borders, already in position. They could strike at any moment. The alliance fell apart in hours. One by one they agreed to submit to investigation. The Tethian ambassador watched all of this. She felt sad. She had tried to warn them. She had told them to take the human warning seriously. Nobody listened. Now they had no choice. But she also felt something else. Hope. Maybe this was what the galaxy needed. Maybe justice had been missing for too long. Maybe humans, with all their violence and vengeance, were bringing something important. Accountability. Chen ended his transmission with final words. He said humans came in peace 23 years ago. They tried to do things the council way. They followed the rules. They compromised. They stayed quiet. And it cost them Sarah Chen. Cost them 13 young humans who just wanted to learn about the stars. The galaxy would remember what happened. Would remember that humans protect their own. Would remember that justice, real justice, is not negotiable. The transmission ended. The human fleet remained. Silent. Waiting. Watching. Making sure the council understood. This was not over, this was just beginning. 3 months passed. The galaxy had changed. Changed in ways nobody expected. The Galactic Council still existed. But it was different now. Reformed. Restructured. Humans refused to rejoin unless fundamental changes were made. Real changes. Not promises. Not procedures. Actual accountability. A new body was created. The Council of Justice. Independent from the political council. When crimes happened between species, the Council of Justice investigated. Really investigated. And humans served as permanent arbitrators. Nobody liked this. Everyone accepted it. The 13 species who covered up Sarah's death faced consequences. 8 of their governments collapsed. Not from human intervention. From their own people. When the truth came out, when citizens learned their leaders chose politics over justice, they revolted. New governments formed. Better governments. 5 governments survived. But they paid massive restitution to humanity. Money, technology, territory, whatever humans demanded. They paid it. Quickly. Without complaint. The Vexorian species surprised everyone. When the Empire fell, many Vexorians celebrated. Hive Prince Zekthar had been a tyrant. The old empire was built on strict castes. Lower castes had no rights, no voice, no hope. Humans helped them build something new, a republic, democratic, with rights for all castes. Many Vexorians were grateful. They said humans freed them from centuries of oppression. Others were angry, humiliated, their empire was gone. Their pride shattered. Zekthar himself was captured in the first week. Humans found him hiding on a remote colony. They did not execute him. They did not torture him. They brought him back to his own people. He was tried by a Vexorian court. His own species judged him. The trial revealed everything, not just Sarah's murder. Decades of crimes. Other species silenced. Other deaths covered up. Political rivals eliminated. Zekthar had been corrupt for years. Everyone knew. Nobody stopped him. He was too powerful. Until he killed a human girl. Then he became powerless. The Vexorian court found him guilty. The sentence was exile. Permanent exile to a prison colony. He would live. But he would never hold power again. Never see his homeworld again. For a Vexorian of his caste, this was worse than death. Other species watched these events carefully. They learned lessons, important lessons. Humans were not mindless warmongers. They had rules, they had limits. But cross those limits, and nothing would save you. Not military power, not political connections, not ancient traditions. Some species feared humans now. They avoided contact, stayed far from human space. They saw humans as dangerous predators, unpredictable, violent. Other species respected humans. They sought human friendship, human protection, human justice. These were species who had been victims before. Smaller species, weaker species, species the Council had ignored. Now they had someone who would listen. The Tethian ambassador became humanity's closest ally in the Council. She worked with David Chen to build the new justice system. They met regularly, discussed cases, shared ideas. One day she asked him a question. She asked if humans planned this, if they came to the Council knowing it would lead to war, if Sarah's death was somehow part of a strategy. Chen looked at her for a long time. Then he said no. Humans came in peace, they really did. They wanted to join the galactic community. They wanted friendship, cooperation, understanding. But humans also prepared, for the worst always. That was human nature, hope for peace, prepare for war. Sarah's death was not strategy. It was tragedy. It was unnecessary. It was preventable. The Tethian asked another question. She asked if he terrified the galaxy on purpose. If fear was the goal. Chen said no again. The goal was justice. Justice for his daughter. Justice for the 13 students who died with her. Terror was just the cost of obtaining that justice. The Council taught humans that in their galaxy, only power mattered. Humans showed them what power really looked like. The Tethian asked one final question. Now that humans had this power, what would they do with it? Would they become the new tyrants? Would they rule through fear? Chen pulled out a photograph. He carried it everywhere. Sarah's picture, smiling, young, full of hope. He looked at it for a moment. Then he answered, humans would remember. Remember that they tried peace first, tried the Council's way. Remember what it cost them. Remember Sarah and the others. They would make sure the galaxy never forgot. Never forgot that humans protect their own. That justice matters. That innocent lives cannot be sacrificed for political convenience. The Tethian understood. Humans were not seeking dominance. They were seeking assurance. Assurance that what happened to Sarah would never happen again. To anyone, human or alien. A memorial was built on Zenith Prime, in the exact spot where the human quarters used to be, where Sarah and the others died. The memorial was simple. A stone wall with 14 names carved into it. Sarah Chen and her 13 classmates. Below the names was an inscription. Words that every species would read. Words that would remind them of what happened here. What it cost. What it meant. The inscription read, "They came in peace. They died for politics." Humanity came for justice. Never forget the cost of expedience over truth. Thousands of beings visited the memorial every day. Some left flowers, some left notes. Some just stood quietly thinking. The memorial became a symbol, not of human vengeance, of something more important, accountability. The galaxy learned hard lessons in those 3 months. Learned that justice delayed is justice denied. Learned that political convenience has a price. Learned that some species, when pushed far enough, will push back harder than anyone imagined. But most importantly, the galaxy learned this about humans. Their greatest strength was not their technology, not their warships, not their tactics or strategies. Their greatest strength was that they would go to any length for those they loved, cross any distance, fight any enemy, pay any cost. Human parents would burn down empires for their children. Human friends would tear apart fleets for each other. Human communities would reshape galaxies to protect their own. The Galactic Council killed a human girl, a 16-year-old who just wanted to learn about the stars. Humanity did not threaten them for this. Threats would have been useless. Empty words. Instead, humanity told them to pray. And then humanity showed them what monsters look like when you hurt their children. David Chen stood at the memorial one quiet evening, alone. He placed his hand on Sarah's name carved in the stone. The metal was cold under his fingers. He spoke softly, as if she could hear him. He told her the galaxy was different now. Better. Safer. He told her that her questions, her curiosity, her desire for truth had changed everything. She wanted to understand other species. In death, she taught the galaxy to understand humans. He told her he was sorry. Sorry he could not protect her. Sorry the galaxy was not ready for someone like her. Someone who believed in truth and justice. But he promised her something. The galaxy was ready now. Ready because humans made them ready. Ready because the price of injustice was too high. Ready because a father loved his daughter enough to reshape civilization. Chen looked up at the stars visible through the station's dome. Countless worlds. Infinite possibilities. Sarah had wanted to explore them all. She never got the chance. But because of her, countless others would explore them safely, would ask questions freely, would seek truth without fear. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Justice was not negotiable. Peace was not weakness, and humans, despite everything, still believed in both. They just needed the galaxy to believe too. Sarah Chen died for that belief, and her death changed everything.